Hey everybody, Friday! So today we had the March jobs report come out, and the forecast was for a job payroll increase of 180,000. And on Wednesday we saw the ADP payrolls come out. That came in low at 129,000 when the forecast for that, I believe, was like 175,000. Well, my forecast for today's jobs number was, get this, 196,000, and the actual number was 200,000. You cannot do better than that. You cannot do better than that. How many times have I said my information, my analysis, the stuff I look at is superior than anything else out there? In my email to my subscribers, I said the reaction will be bullish for stocks, bearish for bonds, bullish for the dollar. And that is exactly the reaction that we saw in the market. So if you're a short-term trader and you had my information yesterday, you could have made yourself some money today. No doubt about it. So the situation right now remains as I have been saying. We are absolutely not going to go into a recession. You know, it's interesting. I'm starting to see little by little some commentary, some mention of the fact that, hey, maybe that whole recession thing was off base. Maybe that whole recession thing was really never something that we should have worried about to begin with. Well, that's what I have been telling you now for many, many months, even going back to that very sharp stock market correction of November and December. So many people panicked. So many people panicked and threw in the towel. And I have explained to you, or I've spoken about the many, many subscribers that I lost in that November-December period who just freaked out and panicked. The secret to this game, folks, and I've said this many times, this is a very, very easy game. The hard part is what you do to yourself. The hard part is your behavior. The hard part is keeping your emotions under control. The hard part is developing a strong mental game. Now, most people don't want to do this. Most people think that the mental aspect is not even really applicable to success in trading. They think it comes from some kind of magical system that's going to take you to where you want to go. It took me a very long time in my career to understand that it was my behavior that was sabotaging me. I was always a good analyst. But my results were up and down for a very long time. And I tried all kinds of different systems. Believe me, I had a whole library at home full of books, and I spent hours and hours and hours looking at my charts and all this. For years, the results were the same, up and down, until I finally, through a process of self-introspection, really started to think, what am I doing? Is it me? And yes, it was. And then I began on a personal journey to change my behavior, to embrace a mental frame of mind that would deliver the results and the success that I wanted. And that's what it came down to. Now, I've said here several times that it is not easy to develop this mental game. And the only way, there's no particular trick or exercise that you can do to bring you there quickly or in a short period of time. You have to expose yourself to difficult conditions as often as possible. Now, obviously, we don't get into a trade or an investment with the idea or the knowledge beforehand that that is going to be a difficult situation. Indeed, we get into it with optimism, thinking that, hey, I'm going to make money on this trade. At least most people get into it with a positive frame of mind. But then inevitably, no matter what approach or methodology or perfect trade you have lined up, you will be tested at one point or another. Everything. I don't care how short term, I don't care how long term, I don't care how low your exposure is, at some point in time, you will be tested. And if you're in this game long enough, you will be tested many, many times over. Now, most people, when that happens to them, they freak out, they panic, they cast blame, they run for the hills, when the way to look at that is part of your development. That should be embraced. Those periods of difficulty and stress and adversity, those periods when you are being tested, are positive, and you must look at them in a positive way, because that is what builds up the resilience that you are going to need if you want to become successful. Again, I don't care what approach or methodology you use, at some point or another, and many times after that, you are going to be tested. And the secret is not running from that difficulty. That means a locked-in loss. The secret to that is managing those times and those conditions and exiting from those situations with a positive result. Sometimes that might mean a break even. Sometimes that might mean turning a large open loss into something minor. But most of the time, what we try to shoot for is turning that into a profit. And that has been my experience for a very, very long time. So it's all about the mental aspect. It's all about personal behavior. Everybody can do it, but it requires a commitment and a desire to forge ahead and push through when things get tough. Like the old cliche, when things get tough, the tough get going. And a lot of people don't want to feel that discomfort. A lot of people don't want to be faced with adversity, and they think all this stuff you hear about trading, cut your losses short, let your profits run, stop losses, all that stuff is terrible, terrible advice, and that is what causes people to ultimately lose when they become active in the markets. Those things are designed to make you lose. But there is a story that has been created around those things that make it seem very, very rational and very, very logical, when in fact it puts you on the path to losing. You cannot win based on the so-called common wisdom out there when it comes to this activity. The only way to get you to where you want to go is to understand that there's going to be tough times. You're going to have to develop the skills both from a market understanding and more importantly from a mental game perspective, to take you through those tough times and to be able to manage those when they happen and exit with a positive result. That can be done, but you have to train yourself to do it, and you have to commit yourself to doing that. As far as the analysis, nobody beats my analysis. This is applied MMT. I am the only person who does this. I take the concepts of MMT, the theoretical concepts of MMT, and I combine that with a trading approach and mental game. The data I look at, the information I look at, I've said it before, this is not information generated from the economy that every other economist looks at. These are the things that literally create the conditions of the economy. So we are way in front of everybody else. That's why when everybody else was calling recession, I was the only one out there saying there's going to be an acceleration. Things are getting positive. Look at a jobs report, all right? And now look at the some of the commentary now starting to say, well, hey, you know what? Maybe there's not going to be a recession. Well, we had that way before anyone else. I saw one article today in Barron's magazine saying, hey, it looks like now the market is getting ready to rally. Well, guess what? The market's been going up for 3 months and it just finished its best quarter in a decade, and they're just saying it's getting ready to rally now. We were buying at the bottom. We were buying. How foolish do you think these people feel now who jumped ship in November and December or sold short at the bottom? And look at where we are now. And Barron's Magazine, Wall Street Journal coming out and saying, hey, it looks like the market is about ready to start rallying. Maybe we're going to take profits pretty soon. Well, that is something I'll let my subscribers know about. Go to my website, folks. You're not going to beat this information. You're not going to beat this analysis. You're not going to beat this mental game training. pitbulleconomics.com. Sign up for a 30-day free trial. Check it out yourself. Bye-bye.